What are you seeing this shopping area in an Indian city in 1991? And this is a shopping area in the same city in 2011. These are the cars that existed on Indian roads a decade ago. And these are the cars that exist now on Indian roads. What do you observe in the examples? In a matter of few years, our markets have transformed. What brought such transformation to the markets in our country? More and more goods and services, investment and technology are moving between the countries. This is possible due to the rapid integration and interconnection between the countries. Let us see how the market has changed across the world. Bright, a leading company based on USA, produces washing machines. The company designs its products in research centers in the United States. Some of its components are manufactured in China. Some components are manufactured in Korea. These are then sent to the Germany and USA where products are assembled. Then, the finished products are sold all over the world. The company's customer care is carried out through the call centers located in India. What are such companies called? This is a multinational company, also called as MNC. An MNC is a company that owns or controls production in more than one nation. MNCs set up offices and factories for production in regions where they can get cheap labor. The MNC is not only selling its finished products globally, even the goods and services are produced globally. As a result, production is organized in complex ways. Why is the production process carried out in various parts of the world? China is a cheap manufacturing location. Korea is a technically advanced nation. So, depending on the cost and technology, various parts of the washing machine are manufactured in China and Korea. The products are assembled in Germany and the US for their closeness to European and US market. India provides highly skilled engineers who can understand the technical aspect of the product and assist with technical support. Moreover, India has educated English-speaking youths who are ready to work for low salary. Thus, an MNC looks up mainly the following factors for setting up production: closeness to the market, availability of skilled and unskilled laborers at low cost, assured availability of other factors of production, government policies that look after their interest. Thus, MNCs interlink production across the countries mainly for the purpose of cost reduction and accessibility to market. What assets does an MNC need to set up factories and offices in a country abroad? To set up the offices and factories, every company needs to spend some money to buy some assets such as land, building machines, and other equipments. This is called as investment. The investment made by MNCs in a country is called as foreign investment. Ford Motors, one of the largest automobile manufacturing company based in America, has production unit over 26 countries of the world. In 1995, it came to India and set up a large plant near Chennai in collaboration with a major Indian automobile manufacturer, Mahindra & Mahindra. By 2004, Ford Motors started selling 27,000 cars in Indian market, while another 24,000 cars were exported from India to South Africa, Mexico and Brazil. What do you observe in this example? MNC set up production jointly with some of the local companies of developing countries. The local companies too are benefited the following ways. MNC can provide money for additional investments like buying new machines for faster production, introduction to the latest technology of production to the local companies. Cargill Foods, a very large American MNC, has bought small Indian companies such as Parak Foods, which already had 4 edible oil refineries and large marketing network over the country. The control of these refineries and the marketing network is shifted to Cargill Foods. This is another most common route for MNC investment, where MNCs buy local companies to expand production. Now, look at another situation. These are the workers of a Jalandhar-based football manufacturers, Soccer International, who have signed contracts with the FIFA and another overseas buyer. In this way, large MNCs place order for production with small producers for goods like garments, footwear, and sports products, etc. The products are supplied to the MNCs, which are sold under the brand name of the MNC. What are the three ways in which MNCs control production across the world? MNCs control production across the world by joint venture, buying local companies, and placing orders to small producers. Few decades back, our country used to export foodstuff and raw material and import finished products. Can you give an example how India was connected to other countries through trade prior to independence? Through history, trade has been the main channel connecting various countries in the world. India attracted many trading companies such as East India Company during historical time. This kind of exchange of capital, goods and services across territories can be termed as foreign trade. Let us know the basic function of foreign trade. For producers, foreign trade creates an opportunity to reach beyond the domestic market, creates an opportunity to compete in the markets located in other countries of the world too, give an opportunity to compete against each other though they are separated by thousands of miles. For buyers, import of goods produced in another countries is one way of expanding the choice of goods beyond what is domestically produced. Prices of similar goods in the two markets tend to become equal, give an opportunity to get quality product at cheaper price. Chinese manufacturers get an opportunity to export toys to India, where these are sold at higher price. Starting with the plastic toys, they started exporting all kinds of toys to India. Buyers in India now have the option of choosing between Chinese and Indian toys. Due to the cheaper price and new design, Chinese toys became more popular, and within a year, 70 to 80% of the toy shops have replaced Indian toys with Chinese toys. Toys become cheaper in Indian market. What are the results of trade here? In the competition, Indian toys are defeated by the Chinese toys, and Chinese toys came into Indian market. For Chinese toy makers, this provides an opportunity to expand business, but Indian toys are sold lesser and the Indian toy maker face losses. Indian buyers have greater choice of toys at lower price. Thus, foreign trade results in connecting the markets or integration of markets in different countries. Can you name MNCs which are currently looking for locations around the globe? Since last 2 or 3 decades, more and more MNCs have been looking for location around the world. As a result of greater foreign investment and greater foreign trade, greater integration of production and market across the nations has been taking place. This can be termed as globalization. Globalization is the process of rapid integration or interconnection between the countries. MNCs are playing a major role in this process of globalization. Beside the movements of goods and services, investment in technology, countries are even connected through the movement of people who usually search for better income, better job, or better education. However, there has not been much increase in the movement of people due to certain restrictions. Mr. Kothari, an industrialist from India, purchased a Volkswagen in 1972, which was not introduced in Indian market then. How do you think he would have bought the car? He needed to buy the car from Germany and had to cross many custom barriers in Germany as well as India to bring the car. Now, look at this situation. Miss Kothari, daughter of Mr. Kothari, is planning to buy a Volkswagen next month. How will she get the car? Miss Kothari needs to go to the Volkswagen showroom, book the car she likes, and get it within a short span of time. What is the difference you see in both the situations? Earlier, it was not very easy to get a car manufactured by a foreign company. But now, we can buy everything in our own country manufactured in any part of the world. These days, a car can be designed in Korea, engineered in US and built in Germany, depending on the market conditions which were confined to the native nation previously. What brought such changes? These changes are brought by globalization. Globalization has changed the face of its major cities, provided jobs, enhanced the life of many of its citizens, and created a culture of consumerism. Do you know where these coaches are being built which are used in Bangalore Metro Rail? Most of them are manufactured by Korea-based company Rotem and Japan-based company Melco and Mitsubishi. Even the rail coaches used in Delhi Metro are being imported from Korea, Japan and Germany. What made possible to transport such bulky goods across the countries? It is possible to carry such goods due to the technological development in transportation. Even transportation became easier for other goods too due to improvement of the containers goods and placed and transported from one place to another by plane, ships, railways or trucks are placed in containers. The cost of air transport has fallen, which has enabled much greater volume of goods being transported by airlines. Improvement in the transport technology made much faster delivery of goods across long distances possible at lower cost. The MNC, Bright, has its head office in the United States and the branch offices in India, Korea and Germany. The company employees can communicate with each other whenever it is required to discuss various issues. They are interlinked through the process of internet facilities and telephone connection. What do you see in the example? Technology in the areas of telecommunications, computers and internet has been changing rapidly. Telecommunication facilities such as telephone, including mobile phones, fax, are used to contact one another around the world, to access information instantly, to communicate from the remote areas. This has been facilitated by satellite communication devices. Modern globalization is characterized not only by exchange but also by speed, flexibility and efficiency. This whole system is known as the Development, Information and Communication Technology or IT. It covers any product that will store, retrieve, manipulate, transmit or receive information electronically in a digital form. The software company X, based in India, gets a project from a Korean electronic goods manufacturer to produce software for the mobile handsets, which enables bearer to know the position and direction of an area. The project documents are sent to India through email from the Korean office. The employees in both the office often communicate through email, telephone or fax. The software is sent again to the office in Korea using a link. The electronic goods manufacturer in Korea uses the software and the handset is marketed all over the world. Thus, information and communication technology has played a major role in spreading production of services in countries across the world. Let us look at another factor that had made globalization much easier. Let us look at the Chinese toys in Indian market once again. Suppose the government of India puts a tax on import of the toys to India. Those who wish to import these toys have to pay the tax. This import on tax is a type of trade barrier. These are some restrictions set up by the government. Why do the governments need to impose such restrictions? Government can use the trade barriers to regulate foreign trade. Using these barriers, the government can decide what kind of goods and how much of each should come into the country. What would be the result of the trade barrier on Chinese toys in Indian market in such case? Chinese toys will be reduced in Indian market. Indian toy makers will have monopoly over the market and get good prices on their products. Indian toy makers will prosper because they do not have competitors in the market. In the initial stage of development in our country, some restrictions are required to grow the home producer. This was the motive behind putting barriers on foreign trade and foreign investment in our country after independence. Movement of goods and services were not very common just few years back due to the trade barriers. Let us compare the present state of our country with last decade. The few cars on our roads were mostly ambassador of Fiat, but now we see almost all brands of cars on Indian roads. MTNL was the only company providing telecommunication facility connecting only just few locations, but wow, India is the fastest growing wireless market with 729.57 million mobile phone subscribers by the end of 2010. Having a single computer in a company was a great achievement, and now almost all of you own your personal computer. Doordarshan was the only television channel a few decades back, and now we have almost all international channels in our television. What brought such changes to our lifestyle? The new Economic Reform Policy 1991 adopted by the Government of India changed the face of our country. It is the time for Indian producers to compete with producers around the world. The government felt that the competition would improve the performance of the domestic producers since they have to improve their quality. With the initiation of the Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and the Finance Minister Manmohan Singh, India started a new economic policy in 1991. The new economic policies of 1991 included inflation controlling measures, encouraging foreign direct investment, encouraging private sector enterprise and competition, deregulation or simplification of government rules and regulations that constrain the operation of market forces, tax reforms. With the implementation of the Economic Policy 1991, India started the process of liberalizing its economy. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government is known as liberalization. World Trade Organization (WTO) is among the organizations that aim at liberalizing international trade. The WTO was officially established in 1995 with the initiative of developed countries. WTO establishes rules regarding international trade and sees that these rules are obeyed. By July 2008, with inclusion of Tonga, Vietnam and Ukraine, 153 nations attained its membership, representing more than 97% of the total world trade. WTO has another 30 nations as observers. The main principles of the World Trade Organization are: trade without discrimination. Countries cannot discriminate between their trading partners. Free trade gradually through negotiation. Predictability through binding and transparency. Promoting fair competition. Encouraging development and economic reform. 61% of the employed population in India is engaged with agriculture in the year 2001, and the share of agriculture in GDP of India is just 24% in 1993. The share of agriculture in GDP and developed countries like United States is as low as 1%, and share in the total employment is as tiny as 0.5%. Even though being small in number, people engaged in agriculture in the US receive a huge amount of money from government for production and for export to other nations. The farmers were able to sell the products at a very lower price in the developing nations who import those agricultural goods. Consequently, farmers in these developing nations are affected adversely. WTO rules have forced the developing nations to remove the trade barriers, but developed nations unfairly retain the trade barriers. Thus, the factors that enabled globalization are advancement in technology such as transportation system, growth of information and communication technology, removal of trade barriers and restrictions set by the government, role played by the World Trade Organization. This is a shopping complex in your city. Let us see what goods are found here. What made it possible to find goods from various parts of the world in your city? Globalization and greater competition among producers made such goods available in our own city. There is greater choice before the consumers who now enjoy improved quality goods at lower price. Not only foreign trade, our country is one of the best places for foreign investors. Pohang Iron and Steel Company or POSCO, based in Pohang, South Korea, got the government clearance in January 2011 for establishing a steel plant in Orissa, which involved an investment of Rs 54,000 crore on current reckoning. Why do you think this investor has invested such high amount in our country? MNCs have increased their investment in India over past 15 years as investing in India has been beneficial for them. It is India's biggest foreign direct investment project with the goal to produce 12 million tons of steel per annum. The project would initially fetch revenue for the government to the tune of Rs 700 crore to Rs 800 crore annually. It would also provide direct employment to 13,000 people and ensure indirect employment for another 35,000. MNCs are interested in various industries like cell phones, automobiles, electronics, soft drinks and various services such as banking in urban areas. Companies such as Ford Motors, Microsoft, Signet Solar, Vodafone, Hyundai, Accenture, Skoda Motors, ABN AMRO Bank, etc. are investing in our country. How is our country benefited from the investment? These foreign investments help fetching revenues for the country, create new jobs and help solving the problem of unemployment, give opportunities to the local companies who supply raw materials to the foreign companies. We are thankful to globalization that brought all the foreign companies to India and gave a chance for Indian companies to expand their business abroad. The production zone of the company in the picture need not pay any tax for 5 years. What could be the reason of tax exemption for this company? This company established its production unit in a special economic zone (SEZ). Companies who set up production units in the SEZs do not have to pay taxes for an initial period of 5 years. Government allowed flexibility in the labor laws to attract foreign investment. Now, companies are allowed to ignore many of the labor rules, but there is flexibility to hire labor only for short periods when there is intense pressure of work. This is done to reduce cost of labor. The success of country's globalization program depends up to a great extent on how it takes suitable steps to improve the investment climate domestically while attracting foreign capital. Why do the companies advertise their products? Every company spends a huge amount of money in advertising. It is done to promote their product among the consumers and develop their business in the competitive world. Several top companies of India have been benefited by increased competition. They invested in new technology and production method and raised their production standard. Some Indian companies have gained with successful collaboration with foreign companies. Fair competition pushed business of Indian companies and helps in expanding their business all over the nation, and the consumers had choices to select the products. Do you find any similarity among these companies? These are some of the Indian-based MNCs. Globalization is not only inviting MNCs from foreign countries but also offering an opportunity for our domestic companies to expand their business abroad. Globalization enabled some large Indian companies to emerge as MNCs. For example, Tata Motors, Ranbaxy, Asian Paints, Aditya Birla, Infosys, Sundaram Fasteners are some of the Indian companies which are spreading their operation worldwide. Can you name some more MNCs based in India? Some other multinational companies based in India are Tata Steel, Reliance Industries, Hindalco, Bharat Forge, M&M, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, L&T, Arcom, etc. Do you know that Tata Steel, one of the largest steel company of the world, own many foreign companies such as Anglo-Dutch steelmaker, Chorus, Thailand's Millennium Steel and Singapore's Nat Steel, etc. About 73.5% of the company's revenue come from outside the country. How do the banks keep records of transaction done through e-banking? All the banking solutions are made through some softwares. Finacle, the best product of Infosys, is a software which is used in solution of e-banking, and almost all the major big banks all over the world are using Finacle for recording the transactions. The software produced by the Indian-based company is being used by various banks from different countries of the world, including USA, UK, Russia, China, etc. Globalization has created new opportunities for the companies providing services in India, particularly those involving IT. Even the call centers of various companies have lots of opportunities and providing services. Various services such as data entry, accounting, administrative tasks, engineering are being done cheaply in our country and are exported to the developed nations. In the year 1992, a small industrialist Ravi took a loan from the bank and started his own company producing capacitors in his city. He got a big client who produces television along with other small clients producing tube lines for selling his capacitors. Within 3 years, he was able to expand production and had 30 workers in his company. In 2001, as per an agreement at WTO, government removed restriction on imports of capacitors. As a result of the competition from MNCs, Indian television companies are forced to move into assembling activities for MNCs. Even then, when some of them used to buy capacitors, they preferred to import them at lower price. Ravi's production has reduced to less than half the number he produced earlier. Now, only 15 workers are working in his company. Many of them, like Ravi, had to shut their industries. Small manufacturers producing batteries, capacitors, plastics, toys, tires, dairy product, vegetable oil, etc. are the sufferers due to competition. Several units are shut down which could not withstand the competition, rendering many workers jobless. The large MNCs in the garment industry in Europe and America order product from Indian exporter and look for cheapest goods in order to maximize their profit. As a result, Indian exporters need to try hard to reduce cost to survive in the competition. How could Indian exporters reduce the cost? As the material of these branded clothes cannot be reduced, the exporters are forced to cut labor cost. Thus, the factory used to employ workers on permanent basis now employ workers on temporary basis so that they do not have to pay worker in the off seasons. Workers also have to work for long hours, even for night shift too. During peak season, wages are low and workers are forced to work overtime without any compensation. The rising competition brought by globalization made employment uncertain and unorganized. This is one of the reasons why more workers are employed in unorganized sector in India. Let us have a look at the impact of globalization in India. Positive impacts are increased investment by MNCs in India over past 15 years. Several top Indian companies have been able to benefit from the increased competition. Globalization has enabled some large Indian companies to emerge as multinational. Globalization has created new opportunities for companies providing services. Some of the negative impacts are difficulties for the small producer to survive due to rising competition. Rising competition has made employment uncertain. The people with education, skill and wealth have made the best use of the new opportunities through globalization, but these benefits are not shared with many poor people residing in India. Thus, we need fair globalization that would create opportunities for all and also ensure that benefits of globalization are shared better. We need globalization. How do we make it fairer? Government policies must protect the interest of not only the rich and powerful but all the people in the country. Government can ensure that labor laws are properly implemented and the workers get their rights. Government rules can support the small producers to improve their performance till the time they become strong enough to compete. Government can use trade and investment barriers whenever necessary. It can negotiate at the WTO for fairer rules. The government can align with other developing countries with similar interest to fight against the domination of developed countries in the WTO. In the past few years, massive campaign and representation by people's organization have influenced important decisions relating to trade and investment at WTO. This shows that people also can play an important role in the struggle for fair globalization.